The comparison of insurance plans democratizes the availability of information and gives everyone free and easy access just at the click of a few buttons. Joining me today is the CEO of one such insurance aggregator in India.
On the show this week, we have Yashish Dahiya, CEO of PolicyBazaar.com.
So Europe, you're able to achieve a 14-15% conversion rate. So out of the 20 million people, you can easily have about 3 million buying. That's something we should be able to achieve in a few years from now.
In news, John Cook wins the Mitsubishi Electric Championship. Brian Gay wins HUMANA Challenge in three-way playoff. And Jamie Donaldson overtakes Justin Rose to win the Abu Dhabi Championship.
Mr. Yashish Dahiya, welcome to Tea Time today with me. So the democratization of information through insurance aggregators like yours, take us through that.
Essentially, before we were there, you had to buy an insurance product. You had the option of speaking to an agent. And because an agent is associated with one particular company, he can only give you information on that particular company's products. And one of the problems customers had was they couldn't understand what they had bought. We got a lot of those complaints. And essentially what we allow is customers to compare all information before they make a purchase. Let's take a very simple example, a health insurance. If you wanted to buy a health insurance, how do you go about it? You would go to an aggregator site, and an aggregator site would have the products from the 20-odd people who provide a health insurance. You would see their prices, you would see their features, you would see what's included, what's excluded, so you can make an informed decision. Now, aggregators essentially go to insurance companies, and they function like marketeers of insurance companies. So what they do is they take the insurance company's products and they showcase them.
Right.
And for showcasing that,
right,
mostly insurance companies pay them some form of an advertising fee. That's how it works.
Interesting. So, developing country like India, do you think we're far away from accepting the concept of insurance aggregator? And are the consumers very open to, comparing insurance online and then having faith in that information? Or would they still go the normal, traditional way of buying insurance?
We've had about 20 million people to the website last year. That's a big number. So even by UK standards, the largest UK aggregator probably has about 30 million. So they're about 1.5 times the size. So the consumers are there.
Right.
The problem is really that the products have not developed to a level where they can be compared very easily.
True.
And the suppliers do not have the platforms to execute. So essentially comparison is happening. Purchase is still less. I think only about 20,000 policies are sold online every month. So that's still low. But otherwise, the comparison is certainly happening.
Are you planning to change that figure around?
Yeah, we certainly are. I think, so Europe, you're able to achieve a 14-15% conversion rate. So out of the 20 million people, you can easily have about 3 million buying. That's something we should be able to achieve in a few years from now. Our target is to get to about 200,000 transactions a month in 2.5 years.
Time now for me to tee off, and once I get done doing that, we'll track more on PolicyBazaar.com.
All right.
So, Mr. Dahiya, we were talking earlier about this company coming about, PolicyBazaar.com. You went to INSEAD.
Yes.
You did your MBA from INSEAD.
Yes.
So, how did this whole concept of Policy Bazaar come about after you graduated from INSEAD?
After I went to INSEAD, I worked for a consulting firm for a couple of years called Bain.
Right.
And from there, I joined eBookers.
Right.
This is early 2000, so this is a time when a lot of online transactions were starting to happen, and so eBookers grew. At the end of eBookers, as I said, we were wondering which other industry can do similar stuff like travel,
right,
or where people can compare and buy. And I came across a few companies like Money Supermarket, Confused.com in Europe, which were doing this. I almost ended up joining Confused.com.
So INSEAD was in Paris, and then you moved to
the UK. I moved to the UK after Paris. And I almost ended up joining Confused.com, and then I said, why don't we do it ourselves? And why don't we just focus on a country like India and try to evolve the same kind of a platform here,
right,
where consumers can come, compare, buy whatever they feel like, rather than being pushed one particular product by one particular seller. which is ideally not how a consumer should end up buying.
And you're a founder of PolicyBazaar.com.
Yes, yes.
So do you have other partners?
Yes, I've got 2 more partners. They were also working with me at eBookers.
Right.
So we have about 19 partners actually, and all of them were at eBookers.
Right.
So we've sort of worked together for the last 7-8 years now.
Over 20 million users are using PolicyBazaar.com. How does this process work?
Essentially what happens is we advertise to consumers that why don't you compare before you buy.
Right.
And that drives customers to say, hey, how do I compare insurance? That's the first question. And when they come here, they get a particular quotation which helps them do that. And when they do that, they go and talk to other people. So that's what drives it. We do spend about 20 crores on marketing every year.
20 crores on marketing and advertising. What kind of a competition are you facing to drive you to spend that much money?
It's just awareness building. So you have to build awareness for the concept.
This is every year 20 crore rupees?
Every crore.
So,
about 24 this year, yeah.
So in terms of percentage of sales, how much would that be?
Percentage of sales, it's almost 40% of our revenues. So at this stage, so our largest spend is actually marketing
and advertising.
And we have to
Are
build
you facing
awareness.
that much competition too?
It's not about competition. It's a new concept. You know, people don't understand. Okay, how do I compare? What is there to compare
because
in insurance?
What I understood and from what I've read about PolicyBazaar.com, you're almost a monopoly, which is
I wouldn't say monopoly, but yeah,
we've got the largest market share.
We're very small to be called a monopoly yet, but yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, for the lack of a better word.
Yeah, but I do think we are lacking competition at this stage. And I think for us it's a category building activity, because we have to build the entire category. We have to build this concept that, you know, okay, you need to compare before you buy. People, as I said, people don't know what to compare.
Right.
Because people know so little about the product.
Right.
So what to expect in a health insurance, what to expect in a term insurance, what to expect in an investment product, what to expect in a motor. People don't know that a motor insurance, your premiums can change quite a bit. And hence comparison makes sense, because it's a product you buy every year if you have a car. And you would save money if you just compared. It's that simple.
Talking about saving money, you think if insurance companies join hands with insurance aggregators like you, the amount of premium would end up dropping, considering the transaction cost is something that you'll end up saving and the process is much simpler?
Phenomenally. So it's already happened. If you look at this product called term insurance,
the
costs are already down to about 30% of what they were 3-4 years ago.
Correct.
And so a 70% reduction in cost has happened. And that's primarily happened because consumers have started comparing. So consumers know where to shop for a lower price product, and insurance companies can get volume that way. More importantly, there's good quality business coming in, and that's the most important thing. Insurance companies need to stop thinking about just cost of distribution. They need to think quality of business. You know, when you give somebody a product he doesn't really want, he throws it up after some time.
Correct.
And that's what's leading to, you know, 50% cancellation rates and all that kind of stuff. So if consumers know what they are buying, are happy to buy it, they will keep that product for the next 20 years. And they would not be the ones who kind of make fraud claims and, you know, all that stuff. So all that bad in the industry would go away. And that changes the nature of the business per se. And that will also automatically bring the cost down, because the bulk of the cost is for that.
You're planning to target about 200 crore rupees in terms of revenue going forward in the next financial year. How do you plan to achieve a figure like that?
So that's 2 years
Is the
from
market
now.
opening up that
That's
much?
2 years from now. So we've been growing above 100% a year for the last 5-6 years. We do not see that stopping anytime soon. In fact, we see, so just to give an example, in something like a motor insurance, we are selling more policies in a day today than we sold in a month last year. So it's kind of growing in that S curve. It's just hitting that S curve.
Right.
So we do not see a challenge in the growth. The sector is there, and you can you know, pull in the volume. It's not an issue.
So since the opportunity is that exciting, how long before more aggregators, insurance aggregator companies like you come into the country?
Now this is a touchy one, and I will mention, since you've asked me this question, our competition is not behind because the opportunity is small or it's difficult to operate. The regulation has made it very difficult for an aggregator to exist, and that is what makes it difficult for competition to come up. So the day the regulation becomes nicer to online or allows online to happen, I think aggregators would mushroom. It doesn't take much to set up an aggregator.
Okay, so you mentioned regulators. We will discuss a little more in detail about the Finance Ministry and the IRDA and, of course, their take on insurance aggregators in India on the other side of this break. So take a quick break right here on Tea Time. We're in conversation with Mr. Yashish Dahiya.
Currently, the figures I get from the insurance industry is 92% of online policies persist, whereas in the offline policies, only about 50%, leave out LIC, about 50% persist.
Welcome back. You're still watching Tea Time with me, Chaiti Narula. We are in conversation with Yashish Dahiya of PolicyBazaar.com, and let's analyze the direction this maturing channel is about to take with the CEO of PolicyBazaar.com. In fact, we were discussing about IRDA and FinMin earlier. So what's your take on that? What is the problem and the kind of regulatory hiccups you're facing when it comes to aggregators?
See, we're a very small organization. We're just a 50 crore organization
Right.
in the larger scheme of government, etc. We're very, very small. We do know there's confusion about regulation on aggregation, and I think it's slightly unfortunate that it's not moving ahead faster. But that's all that I would be able to say, because it's a government matter, and they've got to figure it out between themselves.
So targeting 3 lakh monthly online sales in the next 2 years. What is the India insurance story when we see figures like this?
See, in India currently we have one particular issue. We are largely physically distributed, and that physical distribution channel is I could say not the best suited. It's got a certain cost of acquisition threshold. So below about 5,000 rupees, the physical cost of distribution starts breaking down, and at that kind of amount a customer cannot pay. So the first step we are seeing is the cost of distribution reducing below the 5,000 mark, whether it's 1,000 rupees, whether it's 500 rupees, whether it's 3,000 rupees. And all of that is largely being done either directly by the companies on their websites or through aggregators. That's the first step. The second step that happens is the reinsurers behind the insurance companies see this book and they say, oh my God, this is a better quality. I'll explain why it's a better quality. So when I buy a health insurance from an agent, I typically sign at the bottom of the line. I don't fill the form myself. That's usually what happens. Now, filling that form yourself is very important. There's a lot of information you're giving there. You're giving your weight, you're giving your height, you're giving lots of information about your disease history, etc. The quality of information they're getting through the online channel is much better. So the quality of business increases. The third thing they see is after the year is over, these policies do not lapse. So currently the figures I get from the insurance industry is 92% of online policies persist, whereas in the offline policies, only about 50%, leave out LIC, about 50% persist. So when they see this quality of data, they say, okay, this is interesting. And that's when they start putting the effort behind their technology, their platforms. And automatically, as the technology platforms come along, consumers get a better comparison, they start buying more and more. That's the base story. And once it happens, the market is huge. So even at 3 lakh policies, it is just about 10% of the market.
You said consumers are benefiting. Now, in terms of transacting online sales like this, up to what percentage is the consumer benefiting in terms of saving money?
At this stage, a consumer benefits roughly by about 30 to 50%. Because that's the price differential in the product today. But that is not the only place. See, for special needs, if let's take a very simple example. Suppose I'm a person who has a particular handicap and I want a particular insurance for that. It's very difficult for a company to make that product, go looking for the people who have that particular handicap, unless they come and self-declare, hey, I have this handicap, I need a product, is there anything out there for me? And all the insurance company has to do is create the product and make it available. So the insurance company's job also for bringing out niche products improves.
Right.
And all of us are niche, all of us are different. All of us are unique and we're all unique risks. So from that perspective, I think there's a lot of growth ahead for the market.
Interesting. Time now for you to play a chip shot and then we continue with the discussion. Lovely. Yashish, what would a maturing aggregator space mean for both insurers and companies like you?
I think for the insurance industry, for the consumers and the insurers, it would mean the effort going towards creating better products. And for consumers, the effort going towards finding out which are the right products for them. So the effort moving away from how much do I pay a distributor to distribute my product to which is a good product for the consumer. As far as we are concerned, as that marketplace develops and as that sort of starts taking a larger and larger proportion of the insurance industry, let's say it goes to 50,000 crores, 100,000 crores,
right.
What we make in the bargain as a percentage of the total sales can keep coming down. But that is big enough. That's a massive piece. And that's what we hope. You know, there are 3-4 aggregators, just like the travel industry, there are 3-4 travel aggregators who perhaps contribute about 40-50% of the total market. And that's I think what's going to happen for the aggregators as well. But their margins would come down. Remember, in travel, the margins are down to 50 rupees per transaction.
Right.
You know, out here, the margins are still at thousands of rupees per transaction.
Also, from what I understand, there are a lot of challenges that insurance aggregators face when it comes to the non-motor markets, because I know the motor ones are doing really well and there are less challenges when it comes to that space. But in fact, we'll discuss that a little more in detail after we take a quick break right here on Tea Time with me, Chaiti Narula. We are in conversation with Yashish Dahiya of PolicyBazaar.com.
You do get humbled when you see some, great players playing great shots, and the way they go about thinking before playing their shot.
So we were discussing about non-motor insurance as well. In the UK, of course, I've realized that non-motor insurance in terms of an aggregator is much more simpler to work with. But in India, the story seems to be a little different.
So see, in the UK, it's mostly motor. 70% of all motor insurance is bought through aggregators. But almost no other product goes through aggregators. In India, the story is a bit different because the distribution was... in UK also you've got government health insurance, so people don't really go and buy health insurance. Nobody really buys life insurance in the UK. People buy that in the US, so that's more of a US. So if you look at the US aggregators, they are more health and life. India...
Why is that?
Because in the US, you have to buy health insurance. The government does not provide you health insurance. Okay. So you buy your own health insurance. So of course, before you buy, you compare. In the UK, there's no need to buy health insurance. You've got government hospitals which are very good. Right. So in India, of course, you need health insurance, you need life insurance, and you need to compare. So in fact, in India, it's gone the other way. Health and term insurance are the largest segments of aggregators today. So about 70% of an aggregator's sales are actually health and term covers. Only about 10-15% is motor, but motor is the fastest growing one. So motor will become big very soon.
Okay, great. On that note, let's finish our game. So Yashish, now Tiger Woods is coming back to kick off the 2013 golf season, coming back in familiar territory, of course. Good news of Tiger Woods fans, isn't it?
Absolutely. And who wouldn't be a Tiger Woods fan? You know, with 80 championships, it's quite a bit. You don't get such people. You know, I don't know if you know this one, but he started playing at 2 years of age. And
he played golf when he was 2.
When he was 2, he putted when he was 2, and at 5 he actually featured in the golf magazines. So yeah, he's like, who wouldn't be his fan? Yeah, it's.
Do you look up to him?
I think absolutely. I think 95% of golfers do so.
Which are the other players that you look up to?
I think Ernie's another one that one does follow, and of course there's the Indian Jeev Milkha Singh and Buller and Atwal that one is always following.
How did your passion for golf begin?
I lived in a place where my house was we had 3 golf courses around, and I was mostly a runner, but there was so much golf around that you couldn't miss it, and hence you started. So
Right.
that was basically it.
And while you were in Paris and in London, were you also playing, or do you take a break in your game?
I started in London. So this was in Wimbledon. We
Okay.
were in Wimbledon, and in Wimbledon you've got 3 golf courses, and they are like public golf courses. So you just can't miss them. And I think the weather's great, so you just like today.
Does golf help you in strategizing and in your business decision and in your corporate life as well?
I think
Is there a
golf's
lot to learn from golf?
There is a lot to learn from golf. I think just you've got the different woods and you've got your putting and you've got the wedge and everything. You've got to see which shot will work where. The same shot doesn't work all the time. Just because you can hit hard or just because you can aim well doesn't work all the time. So it's eventually over the long run you've got to try a lot of stuff and you've got to be adept at almost everything. That's pretty much what one takes away from it.
So you've been in Delhi for a while once,
Yes.
After you got back from the UK. Where all in Delhi do you enjoy playing?
I haven't got much of a chance to play in Delhi, honestly. It's mostly back in London that I get to play. Out here, whenever a friend invites me over to the DLF golf course or to the JP Green golf course or sometimes in the Delhi, golf course, that's basically when I get a chance. I also go to the Air Force One quite a bit.
Strategizing and analyzing another person's game and using that analogy in business, how far is that true? Because the way you play your game of golf is actually the way you end up conducting yourself in business as well.
Yeah, you do get humbled when you see some great players playing great shots, and the way they go about thinking before playing their shot. So that does humble you down. That does make you think differently, and clearly that has an impact. There's no doubt about that.
Golf as a game has a lot of strategy, and of course you being an insurance aggregator and of course a startup back when you started off.
Yeah.
A lot of strategizing would have gone into play. Did this game help you at all in your business?
I think the game helps you keep your composure. The game helps you, see that there are steps beyond. If you get something wrong in one hole, you don't give up in one go. You've got 18 holes or 9 holes to go, so
Right.
you can try again.
Right.
I think the game gives you a lot of composure, a lot of patience, and of course. Dealing with people, getting to know people, I think just helps a lot.
So what next for you in your career?
I think the next 3-4 years is going to be just Policy Bazaar. I think growing Policy Bazaar till we get to an IPO. I think that is when we would start to think about strategy beyond Policy Bazaar. But at this stage, it's just Policy Bazaar.
Interesting that you want to make a shift into the secondary market as well, and you want to get listed in the next 5 years.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
you mentioned an IPO.
Yes, absolutely.
All the best for that. All the
Thank you.
best. I hope the company does well.
Thank you very much.
And hope your career soars sky high as well.
Thank you very much.
That was Yashish Dahiya, the CEO and founder of PolicyBazaar.com today on Tea Time. I will see you next week again. Until then, may the sport be with you.